Every year there are a few players locked in fantasy in terms of where they get drafted. This year is no different, as in almost every league, Saquon Barkley is, or at the very least should be going number 1 overall. After that, it's a combination of Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and Ezekiel Elliott to round out the top 4 players in the draft. But after those 4, who should be drafted number 5? There can be cases made for receivers like DeAndre Hopkins, Davante Adams, and Michael Thomas, as well as running backs such as David Johnson and LeVeon Bell. In this video, I will make cases for which players should be drafted with the 5th pick in fantasy drafts in 2019. Before I get started though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. I'm going to start this video by making the case for Texans wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. Hopkins had a career year last year as he went for 115 catches, over 1,500 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Hopkins had 7 100-yard games and was a first-team All-Pro in his first full season with quarterback Deshaun Watson. Hopkins is a phenomenal receiver with a good young quarterback, and there is reason to believe that they can improve from here statistically. Watson is only 23 years old and is entering his 3rd season as the Texans quarterback, and like all receivers do with good quarterback play, DeAndre Hopkins has benefited greatly from Watson. It will certainly be hard to improve on a 115 catch, 1,500-yard season, but Nook and Watson are both young and it's definitely possible. I think Nook's floor is 90 catches, 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns, which is an extremely high floor. I like Nook and think a receiving yards title in 2019 is within his reach. Moving on to the next player is Packers wide receiver Davante Adams. Davante Adams has become the clear number 1 receiver in Green Bay. He started out his career behind players like Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb, but he has now emerged as the true number 1 option, and I think he has the potential to be better than all of the ones who came before him. In 2018, he had his first 100-catch season, his first 1,000-yard season, and his first season with 13 receiving touchdowns. He had 5 100-yard receiving games last season and is now just 26 years old. Adams had 169 targets last year, and it'll be close to that again this season, if not more. I fully think Aaron Rodgers will be on a mission this year, and he will want his number 1 receiver to get the ball as much as he can. I think Adams gets at least 160 targets again, if not more. He's only trending up, and he, especially in PPR leagues, definitely has a strong case to be the number 5 pick. I think Adams' stat line this season will be something around 110 catches, 1,400 yards, and 14 touchdowns. He's a problem for opposing defenses. Moving on to the next player is Saints wide receiver Michael Thomas. All Michael Thomas has done in 3 years is set the record for the most career receptions through the first 3 years of an NFL player's career. He had an outstanding 125 catches last year, including 16 on opening day alone. Unfortunately, I think Thomas will regress a little bit in his receptions this year, but I do think he'll have his first 10 touchdown catch season. I just don't think 125 catches is sustainable, but if he does do that, more power to him. That's a tremendous accomplishment to have 250 catches in 2 seasons. I like watching Michael Thomas play when he's not going against my team, as he is undoubtedly one of the best receivers in the entire NFL and deserves to be in that conversation. He had 4 games above 100 yards receiving last year, which I think he can improve on in 2019 and make himself a more consistent player, as he had 5 games of 50 yards receiving or less in 2018. Perhaps the most impressive thing about Thomas's 2018 season was that he had 6 games of 10 catches or more. Realistically, I think Michael Thomas' stat line this year is around 115 catches, 1,500 yards, and 13 touchdowns. Moving on to the next player is Cardinals running back David Johnson. First off, I want to say I absolutely love David Johnson, so this could be a little biased. But I love players that are underrated, and I think people forget how good he truly was back in 2016. He had over 2,000 total yards before losing his entire 2017 season in the opener against Detroit to an unfortunate wrist injury. He was in one of the worst situations a running back could be in last year, as he had a rookie quarterback and a very poor offensive line. I like DJ in 2019, as I think Kyler will at the least take some pressure off of David due to how much of a threat he is himself in the ground game. I expect David to have around 1,600 total yards in 2019 along with 14 total touchdowns. Not only do I think that David Johnson will be a Pro Bowler, but I think he'll be in the conversation for the Fantasy Player of the Year as well. He's a great talent, and I hope the Cardinals don't waste another year of his precious career. I think David has great potential in PPR leagues, as I'll imagine that when Kyler starts to get under pressure, he'll look to David as a safety valve, and I think due to that, he'll be in the 80-plus catch range. Moving on to the final player of this video is Jets running back LeVeon Bell. LeVeon Bell is in the most unique situation possibly of all time in fantasy football. He set out all of 2018 due to looking for a long-term contract that he never got from the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's 2 ways of looking at this situation. On one hand, a fantasy football owner could think that LeVeon has been out a full year and that he's bound to pull a hamstring or tear something because he's physically not ready and that he'll only play a few games in 2019 before it happens. Or the other side, where LeVeon will be fully fresh and ready to go this year, and that's the side we're going to look at in this video. Just 2 years ago, he ran for 1,291 yards and caught another 655 yards on 85 catches. I fully expect LeVeon to get back to close to those numbers this year, but especially the receiving part. I think the Jets will be looking to comfort second-year quarterback Sam Darnold as much as they can, which was a big reason to sign LeVeon in the first place. I love LeVeon's potential and think he'll catch at least 70 passes in 2019, if not more. I expect LeVeon to be in the 1,600 to 1,700 total yard area, along with 12 to 14 total touchdowns. My final verdict on who to take at number 5 overall is it boils down to the owner. If any of these guys are your guys, then draft them at number 5 because they won't be there by the time the draft swings back around. I feel the same way if it's about another player like Dalvin Cook or even Nick Chubb. These players probably won't be there the next round, so if any of these players mentioned are your guy and you think they'll have a career year, then take them regardless of what other people think. That's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Again, thank you for watching, and have a great day.